From the east to the west, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
What's up, world? It's the one and only Pop DBICD PrimeTime Capper. I'm feeling old from the NFL Bet Exchange earlier, but now, I'm feeling great. Let's see what we got today. Let's see where the money to. So we know what time it is. Pretty much. Let's go ahead and have my top. It's funny because my topics aren't here, so y'all got to bear with me just today and stuff today. But all in all, though, man, looking at actually were able to take care of their business last night against the playoff hopes, wide open. Slim playoff hopes at that as well, too. Win 24-12 last night over the lowly Rams and Aaron. We're used to with Aaron Rodgers, and Baker Mayfield had a quarterback for their team next season, but it just wasn't the effort that you would have thought after that game and all that good stuff, and Baker is back and all this good. Okay. His longest throw, I think, was like simple. Cam Akers was decent, but it just was not enough. So that offensive line is not doing anybody any favors. And then it's the Rams in that spot. And you know what? Just go back and because the rest of the stuff for the Rams is just a wash at this point. So we'll effort from them last night. But what did you expect? You know what I mean? A good team. And I think that all in all, Sean McVay is start, making decisions, because I know his decision is very after this season, because I think that he did exactly what has burnt out. He does. It's the feelings of a burnout, and pressure on himself from day one, and he did a great job. The Rams for the next decade, that's the question that you ask. And the Rams just aren't going to show up for that, because Aaron Donald probably is. I'm not saying that to slight Donald or anything like that, but the guy, come on. So that's one thing that you factor in. Then and he's kind of overpaid at this point. But I don't think that Rams might want to go ahead and get some of their money back right now for some of these bad signings. You know, it all work out for him in the end. But you look at quietly, and I think that the Packers are going to make a run somewhat. I don't think that this team is. I don't think that you should get excited because they're that type of team right now. In my opinion, is that where they really don't show up because they've lost a lot of money this year, man. And so I just pretty be good. You know what I mean? So it is what it is at the end of the day. But a matchup against the Dolphins, Rams are playing the Broncos on Christmas. So Monday and Saturday. So they do get an extra day off. So that should be fun. So it should be fun. It should be fun for these. That's going to be about the Boca Raton Bowl. And as you guys know, this is in Miami, in South Florida, in the suburbs, right? This game is going to be a fun one. We got Liberty and Toledo right now. Have San Jose State in that spot. Hopefully, they are able to. So now Liberty comes in here. This team has lost 3 straight coming in, but they did win one, but now they've dropped 3 in a row. They got a bad loss to Connecticut. They also and that was a bad loss at the in the final point of 19th ranked Wake Forest by 1 this year when Wake Forest was not. I don't know. There's injuries piled up. This team got really bad at go out on a good note, and they were tied for the best record out of it. Really good, and I think that Liberty does strike that here. They're 5-7 against the spread, 6-6 over and under. Toledo, my favorite as well. They're 5-8 against the spread. They're 2-2 versus non-conference. 7 of their 13 games. Now, when it comes down to non-conference, over and under, they got that working for them. And all in all, I do like Liberty. That's the Boca Raton Bowl preview for you. Not with my money, it seems like Toledo is always a 4.5 or higher, or it dip up to a 4 as well too. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how this season, and let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. But it should be jump into some Dodger news, and the Dodgers, Martinez, while JT moves on to Oh, when we used to have the daily stat on there and all that good stuff. Ourselves a very fun situation here, and but then you have JT Justin Turner move on. Oh, more than he was on the field the last 2 years, but he was still a high end contributor. You got to see what's going on the farm, and I think that's exactly what the Dodgers up either. So he was actually like a luxury at this point, and it's really sad to see business of baseball cause for him to not be a part of this roster because the Dodgers always the thought process for the Dodgers. After winning 111 games, movement going on that people don't like, but that it is what it is. It's baseball. Of a big season, even if the Dodgers won the World Series, they still had possibility. Already convinced where he wanted to go. You know what I mean? So the Dodgers to the lineup. This is something that the Dodgers have been, you know, add to that as well. Another multiple All Star to the lineup is a good deal as well too. And JT going to the Red Sox is a good move for him. A team like the Red Sox and still be able to contribute to a team. You know, that's how it goes, and that's how it's going to be. So, pretty much with that, Blue Crew Daily, Dodgers now have JD Martinez in the fold. But we have to say happy trails to Justin Turner, a guy that will forever be a Dodger. So we just need to all go ahead and just deal with that part right there and move on. You know what I mean? And just move on down the road. Topic in hand, and this is going to be a fun one. This is actually Martin, who just pretty much put himself on the boxing with ease at the Cosmo in Vegas. What's next for the Ghost? Well, they said that Tank should fight him. They said that, maybe Ryan Garcia, the lightweight division that Frank Martin could fight next. But let's just performance. I thought that he put on a great show. I know a lot of the excitement is connected to Errol Spence and Coach Derek James, who was just crowned AA Trainer of the Year as well too. Even though Bob Santos was actually interviewed by me as well too for Sweet Science a few months. You have in the fold to say that it's a tight race, but I think that Frank Martin vision and guys like him are going to be avoided. That's for Frank Martin. Frank Martin will probably go about his business and have to fight this point, but they'll have somebody in place for Frank Martin to move forward on. a chance at a title, but I don't actually see his 40 a wide open division and figure out how he can go ahead and settle into. Devin Haney is kind of about kind of he's starting to get up there in age, so that means that making 130 the ongoing future. You know what I mean? He is growing into his man strengths. A lot of your skills as well too. So the thing is, you know, the belts will break up soon, but will Frank Gore still be in shape? And I know that his aspirations are much higher than like I really truly feel that Frank did set himself apart from this guy has stepped into the level. It's not quite elite, but it's not more fights with great competition like he had Saturday night with does not take anything away from the skills of Michel Rivera. Martin, it's that simple. It happens sometimes. If they were to have a rematch, he would probably win that fight. So we know that Tank he's a guy who literally, if he doesn't get the attention, you know what I mean? So pretty much that guy got to grow up. But he's not very mature and he's not very smart either. That's the guy did well. And you know, I look forward to January 7th. No incredible fight after you get done with Garcia. You know, that's actually what Lil Punks do, in my opinion. So pretty much, you know, if you're gonna fight these dudes, fight them. If you're not, just shut up. We don't care. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, we will always show up for these guys, whoever they're gonna fight against. But at the end of the day, when you just hating because the world ain't on you for a moment, then that ain't cool. You know what I mean? That's not cool at all. You know, and that's not even like no super villain stuff. That's just some pay attention to me, man. I have a name too. Yeah, we know who you are. But the thing is, it's about Frank Martin tonight. And it was all about Frank Martin Saturday night. So great performance, great show. He gave us exactly what we was looking for. And it went ahead and showed a lot of people why these boxers avoid fighting against guys that are step ups and that are on a show improve level as well too. So this is why these fights get avoided, but they're not going to be avoided for much longer because we have to see if you're capable enough to even be a champion. So, yep, there it is. And with that, we're going to go ahead and take our first commercial break. And when I get back, we'll jump into some NBA, but we'll start off with the college basketball game of the day. So you guys stay tuned. This is the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles, live with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the PrimeTime Capper.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the PrimeTime Capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune in to Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
All right, we are back with the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles, live with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the PrimeTime Capper. And let's go ahead and jump into our next topic in hand, and that's going to be the college basketball game of the day, and that's going to be an ACC matchup as well too. So, there's a lot that's Virginia, and then you have the number 22 team in the nation in Virginia's 8-1, but they're coming off a loss to fifth-ranked Houston. Wasn't a bad loss, you know what I mean? So pretty much they come in here. This is a game that is between two top 25 teams. Now, but that's not too bad. They kind of just ran into a buzzsaw in Houston, who really was focused on beating them because Houston had such a bad game against such a bad finish against Alabama. So they wanted to make sure that they played 40 minutes of great basketball, and that's exactly what they did. Miami has had a very easy schedule to start the season, but they've taken advantage of that easy schedule as well, too. They've gotten themselves some pretty big wins. They beat Louisville by 27. Also were able to get a win over North Carolina State by 7 as well, and then just came off of a nice win over St. Francis, PA, beating them by 15. Now, they have had some toughies, though, like against Cornell this season, but it happens. You can't look at these teams and think that they're going to always go into these games and bulldoze these teams. But their one loss came to Maryland, and that was probably the only game that they've had other than Providence. That was a game that, can you prove something to us? And Maryland wasn't ranked at that time, but Maryland has been ranked the last few weeks. And Maryland beat them 88-70 that day. But they do got a good win over Providence, who they beat by 10 points. And Providence is a team that will possibly be in the tournament. This was when they were at the Hall of Fame tip-off that was in the Naismith tip-off that was in Connecticut. So this team is looking to keep it moving. And tonight they got Virginia, and then they're off for a week, and they'll be back around against Vermont. And then they really get into conference play on the 30th of December. And then from there, they're no more non-conference games. They playing straight up ACC ball, and they would literally kick off that part of their schedule on the road against Notre Dame. So that should be good for them. And then you have Virginia, who comes in here 8-1. They haven't played as many games as Miami, but they've had a pretty good run. They went to Vegas, won that tourney right there. The kind of the main event. They won that event, beating Baylor, who hadn't lost to a non-conference game to a team in a while, and then you had Illinois, who they beat by 9. In Ann Arbor, not a neutral floor. And then, they kind of ran into a team, and then they ran into Houston. And, it was kind of a culmination loss. So I think they do want to get the bounce back here, but this game is going to be very Miami is to get themselves a strong, long look here. Out, but we're going to move forward from there and jump into our next spot, which is going to be which is going to be in the NBA, and that's going to be up first. We're going to have, and we only got 5 games in the NBA tonight. We got the Hornets and we got the Jazz and the Pistons. The Hornets messed us up last night. Good. They went ahead and they beat the Kings last night by 6. Pretty crazy, but that's the NBA. Things like that happen. All right, so I'm looking at my notes. I do have some notes. Jazz 6-11 on the road after getting shellacked last night by 24 in Cleveland. Then they're 5-6 straight up as a favorite. They were a dog last night. Tonight they're the favorite, but they're not great as a favorite. Then they're 2-7 against the spread and straight up versus the East. And then against the spread, they're 18-14 against the spread. And then when it comes down to the spread on the road, they're 9-8. That got messed with a little bit last night. And then actually they're 18-5 on the spread, 18-15 on the spread because they did lose that game last night. And then they are 3-8 against the spread as a favorite. That's not good. And then as a road dog, no, we're not worried about that. That was for last night. In their 33 games, they have went over 17 times. And then on the road, they've went over 9 times in their 17 games. Pistons come into this game having a good month compared to the months prior to this one. Playing better basketball because teams are kind of having this idea that they're not really that good, but they have lost their last 5 out of 6, but they did get a good one against Charlotte last Wednesday. So they're about due, but we'll see because I don't see them really getting swept on the road, but they've only won once getting swept at home, but they've only won once at home, but that was against Dallas team as well too. But all in all, they are coming off of a good game against Brooklyn. They only lost by 3. So I know a lot of people probably will jump on the Pistons to be sneaky and get a win here. I like the under in this spot because it seems like that's where the trend is going. But we move forward from there, and let's go on to our next game, which is going to be the Bulls and 18. The Heat are now getting their act together because they were struggling. The Bulls are going through it. The Bulls are actually 2-6 this month with losing 4 in a row, and it was really bad the other night. They wound up losing that game 150-126 in Minnesota, and they lost back-to-back games at home to the Bulls. And then they also lost by a point to Atlanta after having a 2-game winning streak. But this was all done. This was, they've only won at home. They've had a lot of road games throughout this stretch, and they haven't done well in that category either. So, this team is trying to figure it out, and it's tough because they don't have Lonzo Ball to go ahead and direct traffic for them. And, DeMar DeRozan is only one man. You know what I mean? He can only do so much. He's getting 25.9 a game, but still, it can only be so much. He needs more. That's the whole thing. They only have 3 guys. Literally, they only have 3 guys that are scoring in double figures. They're probably the only NBA team that's even rocking like that right now. So, yeah, they'll probably have a moment where they step it up after some type of trade or something, but right now they're not good. And pretty much what I see here though is a Heat team that's actually coming on up. And I think what happens here is that the Heat are a number that a lot of people will get excited about and they'll go crazy about. Yes, the Heat are balling. They have won 4 in a row, and they've actually won their last 5 out of 6 after starting the month 1-2. So this team is doing really well. They've got 4 in a row, but 3 of those wins were decided by 5 points or less. They just got to win by 10 over San Antonio, and San Antonio is lowly. So they do have 4 straight home games. They haven't been at home in a while. Okay. They weren't at home for a whole week. So they're back home now. And I think what happens tonight is the Bulls make this a game. And I like the spread here. Even though it's like the spread is low as is, I'm rocking with the spread because it was at 4.5. Now it's at 3. Okay. So I do like where we're going in this spot tonight. So let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. Bulls at the Heat. All right, we move on to the Warriors and the Knicks. The Warriors and the Knicks. This one is a funny one because you have a Warriors team that is absolutely dreadful on the road, but they did get a 20-point win the other night on the road, beating up on the Raptors. And I felt that was coming as well, too, because as bad as they have been getting whooped on the road, they was long overdue for that. Now they are 3-14, 3-13 on the road for the year. Actually, I think they're 3-14, and then they are 4-13 against the spread. So this team is got it together. They got themselves a nice 16-point win. Now they have 2 more road games before they end the year at home because Christmas Day they have a game against Memphis, then they have a game against Charlotte that Tuesday, back to back on the 30th. So this should be hopefully they're not overlooking the Knicks with the Nets on their mind because covered game. Well, actually, it's going to be on NBA Network. That's even better for him because his staff has the arm injury going on right now as well. He'll probably miss the All Star. He'll probably not be back until possibly All Star. Wiggins is a very key player, and then they do have a game is going to be tough for them tonight, but I still think that there's going to be points scored. So I like the over here. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how the Suns and the Wizards tonight in Phoenix. Phoenix has beat the Lakers by 20 because they have been struggling mightily, but they're going against a team tonight that's been struggling very much, and they're struggling to a nasty T because this team actually has dropped all 9 games they played in December. It's just wow, it's just kind of sad now, and they've actually lost 10 in a row. So this team is trying to find a way. 5 in a row, and actually had dropped their first 6 out of 7 in the month of December. They've teams as well too. So tonight they go against Washington, and they didn't actually beat them twice. So they did get a nice. They wound up losing the next night by 19. So can you really trust it going? Seems like they're losing some confidence right now as well too. And I just truly do that he is selling the team as well too, and there's a controversial moments with him getting rid of the team right on time, and they can go ahead and try to get back into the mid losing games. So pretty much with that, the Suns tonight with the 7. Let's see how Jump into our final game of the night. Fun game. I think that when this one comes down to it, in my opinion, we're a little stuck right here. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Right now, boasting the best record in the conference as we a lot of times where Ja Morant may or may not be 19-10 at this point. The Nuggets are 18-11, and the Nuggets are actually they should get talked about a little bit more. They got the two-time MVP on their squad as well too. They bounced back nicely after losing to the Lakers by 18 points. Then they were able to squeak out a win against Charlotte, who was coming in there. Had been losing all month, but they fought really hard and wound up losing by only 4. But Denver still got the win. It doesn't really matter. So you got Denver pulling up, and they're going against Memphis tonight. Portland Friday, then they end up Sunday with Phoenix on Christmas, and then you have back-to-backs in Sacramento, and then they finish the month against Miami at home. So they got, from what I can see here, 4 home games left for the year, and I think that what happens here is that we have ourselves a very, very good. We have ourselves a very good game here. And I think that this is a good measurement on how these teams are going to be looked at moving forward for the playoffs. But we all know that this is still early. And when you look at the playoff standings, these teams, you have 4 or 5 teams that are only 2.5 games apart and really just a one win back of each other. And then the craziest part about this other situation is you got the Lakers and the Warriors on the outside looking in, but that won't be for long. That's all I can say. It won't be for long, because how long will Minnesota hold up? How long will Utah hold up? That's the biggest question. You know what I mean? I think Portland and Dallas are in here, but Minnesota and Utah have been struggled to be consistent all year, and they're not healthy. So we'll see how it goes. But right now, these are the top 2 teams in the West, and this is going to bode well tonight. But I think what happens here is a little upset here, and I think that's going to be Denver winning this game tonight. So we'll see how this one shapes up and shakes out. But with that, we're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break, and when I get back, we'll go ahead and we'll jump into Talking Tickets. So you guys stay tuned. This is the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles, live with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the PrimeTime Capper.
Now you and your friends can compete in the sport of kings and win big with Stable Duel. Get the app, pick your horses, and get in on the thrill of horse racing with daily games competing against other players. Bring home the glory and the cash, and move up the annual leaderboard while you leave your competition in the dust. Get in the game with Stable Duel. Play, race, win.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners, and I'll have another in Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
All right, we're back, and let's go ahead and jump into your favorite topic, my favorite topic, Talking Tickets. So here we are. Talking Tickets. We started off with our Boca Raton Bowl bets, and with the Boca Raton Bowl, we have the Liberty money line plus 145. Then we have the Liberty first half plus we finish up with Toledo under 27.5 team total today. All right, so that's our Boca Raton Bowl bets, and we move forward from there. This is going to be our PrimeTime PK6, 53-1. We got Army minus 120. They're in a road game today. We got Jackson playing against 9th-ranked Alabama. I like Jackson State to go ahead and get the 31.5 covered. And then we do have Kennesaw State. They're playing in a pretty good spot against South Carolina Upstate. I like them with the 7.5 today. Then I love Miami with the plus 4.5 in Miami, which is always a tough out for any team when they got to go down there to Miami Gardens, wherever that stadium's at. But it's somewhere in the area. But that should be a good game for them. I love that plus 4.5 that goes into that spot. Then we got Arizona here. I think Arizona absolutely romps tonight, so I like them with the 21. And then we have Air Force in a rivalry game tonight against Northern Colorado, and I'm taking them with the plus 120. We get 53-1 on this ticket. Now let's go ahead and look at our NBA ticket for tonight, and the NBA Super High Five is 24-1. We have ourselves the under 228.5 with the Jazz and the Pistons, the plus 3 with the Bulls, the over 221.5 with the Warriors and the Knicks. And then we have the Suns with the -7. And then we have the Nuggets with the -110. So that's where we're going with the 24-1 ticket. All right. So that's going to be our show for today. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. As usual, you guys are the absolute best. And, as usual, you guys make sure to watch the replay as well, to tweet it out, share it, whatever you got to do. Let's keep this movement moving. And as I always say, bet with your head, not with your heart. And pretty much you guys already know what time it is, man. It's time for us to just go ahead and get ourselves situated for this upcoming year, but, appreciate what we still have for this year. You know what I mean? So that's all I want to leave you with, but I'll be back tomorrow with some more betting and some more games for you. So you guys make sure to tune in for that. And this is the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles, live with the one and only Pop DiBiase, and I am gone.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.